Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Okay, I know this is an old topic by now and the show is cancelled, but I don't care. I still want to talk about Fate the Winx Saga. Now, I'm not a Winx Club fan. I didn't grow up with the show. I never watched it when I was a kid. I barely knew it existed before its brief stunt on Nickelodeon. So I didn't have nostalgia clouding my expectations or experience while watching Fate. And personally, I think that's a demographic that Rainbow and Netflix wanted to aim with Fate. You know, the people who didn't watch the original show as a kid. If you enjoyed this video, remember to give it a like and subscribe to my channel. I upload videos discussing books, shows, and occasionally video games. Alright, let's establish the format of this video first so we're all on the same page. I'm going to give a rundown of the plot of Season 1 and who the characters are, and then give my opinion on both the plot and characters of Season 1. So, I'll give a rundown and then I'll give my thoughts. We'll do the same thing for Season 2, explaining what's happening then. I'll say what I thought about it. And then finally, I'll give my thoughts on the show as a whole and what I liked and hated about it. Sounds good? Good. But what is Fate the Winx Saga even about? Fate is a teen drama adaptation of the popular show from the early to mid 2000s Winx Club, aimed at people who both grew up with the original show and new audiences who didn't. It follows the main character Bloom after she learns that she is a fire fairy and is sent away to the Althea School of Magic to control her magic, make friends, and battle the forces of darkness. Season 1 is about Bloom starting Althea School of Magic after recently discovering her powers and how unpredictable they can be because she recently set her house on fire. There, she learns that she's actually a changeling, a fairy baby swapped with a human baby at birth, and goes on the search for her birth parents. After discovering that this lady named Rosalind was in charge of Althea around the time of her birth, she sets out to find Rosalind. Why she thought that's a great link to her past, I still don't know. With the help of Beatrix, another fairy with evil intentions of freeing Rosalind, Bloom is eventually able to find and free Rosalind, as well as discover dark secrets about the faculty of the school. With Rosalind free, the woman gives Bloom more info about her parents, but nothing substantial enough to determine whether they're still alive or not, or where they could possibly be. So basically, the season-long quest is right back to square one at the end. But uh-oh, Rosalind is evil and kills the headmistress to take over the school and rule it with an iron fist, with implied broader plans to take over the world. I said this was a spin-off of Winx Club, but didn't really mention anyone else in the club besides Bloom. Why? The other four Winx don't matter to the main plot here. They just get side plots. Well, except Aisha, who is one of the best Winx, but the show wants us to dislike her for whatever reason, so they don't give her anything. There's also a growing invasion of these tree monster zombie things called burned ones that everyone is scared of and cause the plague or whatever. But it really isn't that important to the main plot until the last episode when they start invading the school at Rosalind's control. So anyway. As for subplots, they revolve around the other members of the Winx Club. You have Stella relearning magic from the ground up after a freak accident left her basically magically paralyzed the previous year, and she has an arc about learning to be less of the stuck-up bitch her mom wants her to be and more of her own person. You also have Miss Tara trying to become friends with everyone and getting shit on at every opportunity because almost everyone in the show is a rude asshole. There's also Musa dating Tara's brother. That's basically her whole thing. And there's this whole thing about these three other student characters, Beatrix, Riven, and Dane, possibly getting into a throuple relationship, and it's so damn messy because River is blatantly homophobic to Dane, but still Loki wants him, and all three of them try way too hard to seem cool and mysterious when they just come off as sleazy, because they all love to act like shitheads and backstab people whenever they feel like it. But we're supposed to root for those three and find them all hot. Yeah, sure, Jan. Anyway, anyway, who's who in season 1? Now, this is going to take a minute to introduce like who everyone is because it's season 1, we have a lot of people to get through. But who's who in season 1? We have the Winx girls, Bloom, Stella, Musa, Tara, and Aisha, the main 5. Bloom is, once again, the main character of the show, a fire fairy that recently discovered she has magic powers and wants to learn who her birth parents are. Stella is a light fairy and heir to the throne for the kingdom of Solaria, where the show takes place, and deals with trying to figure out how to live life between balancing royal expectations that her mom has and just wanting to be her own person. Musa is an emotion fairy that can feel and manipulate the emotions of people around her. She really hates her magic and is always complaining about it 24/7. Because, like, OMG, it's just so tiring being an empath. Like, I hate feeling everyone's emotions 24/7. I just want to be left the fuck alone. Tara is a plant fairy and basically the nerd of the show. She's always trying to make friends, but gets rejected a lot because the school is filled with nasty people. She's very sweet, but won't take crap from anyone, and I love that about her. Aisha is a water fairy and Bloom's roommate in the Finks dormitory suite. She's basically the mom of the friend group, being the responsible one that does things by the books. In season 1, she gets nothing in terms of side plots, besides being Bloom's friend that always bails her out of trouble, and I hate that for her. Beatrix is the main antagonist of season 1, a wind fairy that tries really hard to be a bad bitch who is out to find where Dowling is keeping Rosalind imprisoned in the school and free Rosalind. Why, you may ask? We don't really know. We don't really find out this season. There is also Sky, Bloom's boyfriend. He has daddy issues because he's been told his dad was a great warrior and he wants to live up to that supposed legacy. He's boring. There's nothing else to him. He's just boring. There's Riven, who is basically the bad boy of the show, so obviously he's Beatrix's boyfriend, and his main purpose in the show is really just to throw out homophobic lines about another character, Dane, throughout the season. He serves no other purpose. Speaking of Dane, his only purpose in this show is to disappoint the LGBTQ plus community by simping for the homophobic straight boy. That's it. Moving along. Professor Dowling is the headmistress of Althea. Bloom and her kind of have a sorta mentor-mentee, sorta enemies relationship that never gets as fleshed out as it should have been. Yeah. Other less important characters include Silva, Sky's adoptive dad that raised him and was friends with his birth dad, Sam, Tara's brother and Musa's boyfriend, Professor Ben, Tara and Sam's dad, Queen Luna, Stella's mom and the Queen of Solaria, and Bloom's parents, Vanessa and Mike. That's it. With a brief idea of what's going on and who everyone is in the show, let's give my thoughts on season 1 and what I thought of everyone. So, as for season 1 thoughts on the show, just like in general, oh my god, it was not good. It was not good at all. Oh my god, I understand why the show got shit on when it first came out because it's just not good at all. It tries so hard to be like an edgy teen drama instead of just being like a good story first and foremost. Like, I don't know what else to tell you. It's like there is no subtlety in this show so far. Every single time someone says something like, "Whoa, this is weird," and someone mysterious is behind this weird thing, the camera will always immediately cut to whoever they were referencing. I think the show wants to do this for like dramatic irony where the characters don't know something but the audience does. I think that was the intention, but it really just came off as like cheap to me. Like, I don't know how else to say it. It just came off as like cheap and lazy to me. Now, even if they didn't do that, like even if they didn't try to have like dramatic irony and they actually tried to have like a mystery, it would still be very obvious who was like keeping secrets, who was being evil, blah blah blah, and who wasn't because like everyone is just so one note. Everyone is just so like obviously this person's evil, like obviously this person's not. Like no one really has much complexity or depth to them to warrant, like any sort of real mystery. Okay, I'm okay. I must ask the specialist. The specialist, like the warriors who don't have magic powers, but they're supposed to be like guards and whatever of the school and of the kingdom. Yeah, those guys. What do the specialists do? Are they actually useful in a Winx Club? Because all I've seen them do in this first season is just run around with swords and get killed by every single bird one they come across, despite supposedly being specially trained to kill bird ones. Make it make sense. They don't do anything. They just die. I don't understand. Like what? Like what's the purpose of them? Oh my god. They don't. No, not even one specialist takes out a burned one this season. Yet they're supposed to be like specially trained to take them out. The only ones who actually defeat any burned ones are fairies, and fairies aren't even like supposedly specially trained against burned ones. Like that doesn't even make any sense. So what do specialists do? I'm genuinely very curious. Also, speaking of burned ones, am I blind or are they just kind of unseeable? Like, I don't know what it is, but like, I literally can't describe to you what these things look like besides like charred trees. Like, every single time the camera is on them, they just look so darkly lit or they just look like blobs on the screen. Maybe I just need new glasses, but still, I don't know. And oh my god, the constant plot twist in the final half of the season. It was just one thing after another. Like, damn, soap opera, be serious. I literally can't take anything this show says seriously now because at any minute a character could say, "Oh, this is actually what happened," and introduce another plot twist. Like, I swear to God, in like the final like 2 to 3 episodes, it was just like plot twist after 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 plot twist. And at some point, it's just like, stop. Like, be serious. One of the major things that I noticed while watching this show, watching the first season, is the writing of Bloom's relationship to her parents is so inconsistent. Sometimes we'll get a scene with her parents being absolutely nasty and low-key abusive to her, and then other times we'll get a scene where they're normal, loving parents to her. Sometimes Bloom will say her relationship to her parents, especially her mom, is not that great, and then other times we'll get her crying and longing for them or being very excited to see and hear from them. Like, make it make sense. And Bloom's arc does not have anything to do with her relationship to her adoptive parents, but the show wants us to think there's some big arc that mends their relationship by the end of the season when there really isn't. It's just y'all being inconsistent with the writing. Like, oh my god, it was so frustrating. Having said all of that, to be honest, I can see the skeleton of a more interesting show here. Like, if the show had Stella as the main character and focused on the dynamic between her and her mom and, like, the politics of Solaria and, everything within the world, this show could have been pretty good in my opinion. She's not even my favorite Winx. I like Tara and Aisha a lot more than her, but she just radiates main character energy in a way that Bloom tries so hard to, but just can't. Bloom is just such a boring and unlikable main character, and the show keeps telling us she's super special without giving us reason to actually believe it. Like, every single person in the show keeps referring to Bloom as like, "Oh my God, you're so special, you're so unique, you're so powerful, you're blah blah blah, whatever." And it's just like we never really get a reason as to why. We're just supposed to believe it. And the drama that this show wants to focus on is so lame compared to the hints of broader conflict in the rest of the world we get. Like, why do you want me to care about some girl trying to find her birth parents and a possible throuple between three drug users when the queen is literally 2 seconds away from launching full war against a school because she just hates the headmistress and wants to be petty? And there's also a growing zombie invasion problem. Like, make it make sense. Why are we focusing on like petty high school shit when you introduce like broader, much more interesting conflicts? Like, can we focus on the more interesting stuff, please? Anyway, with season one thoughts out of the way, let's get into what I thought of each of the characters as they were in season one. Bloom, once again, boring, unlikable, like I said. She does not give it girl energy like the show so badly wants her to. She just seems really self centered, in my opinion. Because I get wanting to learn more about your birth parents, but this girl will literally damn the whole world for just the possibility of learning more, not even guaranteeing information about them. Like, she literally learns that Rosalind might know something about her parents, and despite repeatedly being told over and over and over again, Rosalind's evil, Rosalind's dangerous, Rosalind needs to be kept away, don't free Rosalind, she's like, you know what? She might know something about my parents, so I'm gonna free her. I'm gonna free her. I'm going to free the woman that everyone is scared of. Like, yeah, I don't care. I'm gonna do that. It's like, oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. And then Rosalind doesn't even know anything about her parents, really. So, like, what was the point? What was the point? Anyway, Stella, like I said, should have been the main character. She has the most interesting position in the story, being the heir to the kingdom with an extremely controlling and dominating mother, and having to relearn magic while keeping up appearances that she's perfect and ready to rule at any moment. She also has the most character growth of the season, going from being the stuck up bitch that everyone hates and her mother expects her to be at the start, to starting to come into her own person and actually like and want to help people and make friends. She's just interesting. I'm sorry, she is. In this first season, Stella is by far the most interesting character of them all, and she should have been the main character. I'm sorry, it's true. Tara is a lovable queen that deserves better from everyone. I am on her side in everything. She can do no wrong, in my opinion. I absolutely love Tara. She's my favorite of the Winx. Musa, she's annoying and low-key unlikable, but significantly more likable than a lot of other characters like Bloom, Beatrix, and Riven, whatever. Like, yes, girly, we know you can feel other people's emotions and hate it. Move on. Like, we get it. You tell us every single time you're on screen, basically, about how much you hate your powers and hate your magic. We get it. Move on. Do you have any other personality trait besides hating magic? Aisha is a good and likable person that will do the right thing, even if it pisses off other people. The show really tries to villainize her for that for some reason. Like, when Bloom was going to free Rosalind, Aisha went to tell Dowling what was going on, and then for like 2 episodes, the characters kept saying how awful Aisha was for that. Like, what? She needs her own storyline instead of just being the friend in other people's plot lines. Like, why is she the only Winx that didn't get her own side plot this season? You have time. Cut out some of Bloom's whining or even half of Muse's whining, and you can make time for an Aisha subplot, okay? Like, give her own plot. Sky, he's boring. I don't know what to tell you. I don't care about his inferiority complex about his birth dad. He's just mid, and that's why he's perfect as Bloom's boyfriend, because they're both boring and unlikable people. Beatrix, yeah, she tries way too hard to be a badass. Like, she really, really does. It just comes off as like cringy and laughable. She has some interesting moments, but overall, she's just really annoying in season one. Riven, whatever the hell his name is, he can go to hell. Can a burn one just kill this guy already? No, writers. Homophobia isn't cute, funny, or mysterious. This guy is just a loser in every way. Every scene is just him either smoking weed, making sex jokes, being homophobic, or getting mad at someone. Just shut up already. I'm so tired of him. Dane also can go to hell. I am making an executive decision on behalf of the entire LGBTQ plus community to throw him out of our community. I'm sorry. He can go, he can leave. Tara was the only person in that school that tried to befriend him and was, like, genuinely nice to him, and then he backstabbed her, but then he wants to act like she's nasty for calling him out on him backstabbing her and not wanting to be friends anymore after that. You're acting like she's the problem when you backstabbed her. Okay, bye. And then him wanting to get in Dane's pants all the time. Like, bitch, the guy literally calls you everything except the F slur. Be serious. No, very nasty and whiny guy. I don't like him at all. At all. Anyway, I actually liked Dowling and don't think she did much wrong except not tell Bloom everything she knew sooner. Other than that, I really liked her. She was serious about her job, but she was also kind and did actually care about the well being and success of her students, which is nice to see from a school authority figure for once. The only mistake she really made in my book is telling Bloom to just be patient and wait for things to be explained at the right time. Because, ma'am, she's a hot headed teenager. If you're not going to give her answers to her questions, she's going to go looking for them on her own and release a world threat to do so clearly. I'd say I'm sad that she's dead, but I honestly can't trust this show about anything, so for all I know, she might actually be alive and pop up in the later half of season 2. As for the more minor characters, I'm not going to talk about them right now. I'll talk about them overall at the end of this video, because right now they really aren't worth my time. Let's move on to season 2. Season 2. What is season 2 about? Season 2 picks up where season 1 left off, with Rosalind now running the school with an iron fist and all the drama that comes with that. Halfway through the season, we shift focus to now battle blood witches that seek to drain all fairies of their magic and then kill them. It eventually comes to a head when the blood witches take over the school and the girls have to finally group up and take down the cult and save the world at the end of the season. As for side plots, there are several. The main one is with Bloom still dealing with wanting to figure out what happened to her birth parents, but also we introduce the dragon flame power that she alone possesses. It's some sort of ultra rare, ultra powerful magic that lives inside her, but never gets fully explained. The main villain, Sebastian, uses her desire to learn about her parents to try and manipulate her into joining the Blood Witch cult throughout the season so that he can suck out her dragon flame power for himself. In the final episode, it's revealed that Bloom's mother also had the dragon flame power and that Bloom was actually born 1,000 years ago but was like frozen in time because her mom didn't want her to grow up with the burden of that power. Okay. In the final moments of the season, Bloom learns that her mother sealed herself away in another dimension called the Realm of Darkness and travels there to finally get some answers about her family secrets. Yes, quite a few things are thrown in with little to no explanation. Don't ask me, I don't know, the show doesn't know either. The other side plots I'll keep brief because we still got like 5 million things to run through. So, Aisha gets a boyfriend, they're cute, but he's revealed to be a member of the Blood Witch cult and they break up. Very sad. Tara's cousin Flora gets introduced, and the two of them have a forced rivalry for like half the season. Also, Tara comes out as gay, which we've known, and we love that for her. We absolutely love that. Musa willingly lets her magic get drained by the Blood Witch cult because she's sick and tired of feeling everyone's emotions 24/7 and wants to do something different with her life. She ends up discovering she likes hand-to-hand fighting and signs up to become a specialist, continuing her training even after she gets her magic back at the end of the season. Which, that was very interesting. I really liked her little character arc. The throuple between Beatrix, Riven, and Dane ends as quickly as it began after Bea and Riven get into a fight and break up. Yeah. Also, Beatrix loses her magic to the Blood Witches at one point and then makes a deal with the cult to give them access to the school in the final episode in exchange for getting her magic back. As for Who's Who in Season 2, who is introduced in this new season? The biggest addition is Flora, another plant fairy and Tara's cousin who was one of the Winx from the original show. Similar to Terra, she's smart, nice, and has a bit of an edge to her if you make her mad. There is Rosalind, who is not the biggest addition simply because she was introduced at the end of season 1. Rosalind is the new headmistress of Althea after killing Dowling. She is very strict and mean, but is determined to stop the Blood Witch cult before they can wreak havoc on the world. And later in the season, she is killed by Bloom because Bloom learns that Rosalind killed Dowling and is very pissed off about that, so she ends up basically incinerating Rosalind to a crisp. Sebastian is the main villain of this season. He is a new character, he's the leader of the Blood Witch cult, and desperately wants Bloom's dragon flame power so he can be unstoppable, basically. Gray is Aisha's boyfriend that later turns out to be a member of the Blood Witch cult. They try to throw in a plot line of him questioning whether the Blood Witches are doing the right thing and if fairies and Blood Witches could just come together and live in peace, but the show really does not have enough time to explore that idea in any way when they introduce it in like the second or third to last episode. So, yeah. And the final new character of the season is Andreas, aka Sky's birth dad, who was revealed at the end of last season to somehow not be dead and just be in hiding all this time. Okay. He doesn't give a damn about Sky, and they never hash out their father son issues in any meaningful or satisfying way, and he just gets like possessed by the Blood Witches and Sky and has to end up killing him before they can like have a meaningful resolution to their little conflict. Yeah, just as boring as his son. But what are my thoughts on season 2 overall? Overall, it's leagues better than season 1, but granted, that's not hard to top. Despite my comments, the later half of the season really did keep me awake and somewhat interested in what was going to happen next, which, that's good. I would have liked more information about the Blood Witch cult, because all we really know is that they hate fairies hate them, they have slugs that can drain magic, and Sebastian is their leader. Like, that's it. There's really nothing to go off of for why Blood Witches and fairies hate each other, how Blood Witch magic is different than fairy magic, etc., etc. It's just, this is an evil group that wants to take over the world. That's all you need to know. The end. I'm glad Aisha finally got a subplot of her own, and we finally dropped trying to villainize her every 2 seconds. Like she's finally treated as like an equal member of the Winx this season, and it's like, finally, thank you, love that, because she is one of the best ones. Also interesting how this show like dropped everything with Bloom's adoptive parents. Like they just gave up even pretending that the plot between her and her adopted parents and their complex relationship, or complex in quotes, like they just gave up even trying to entertain that plot line mattered. Like it just gets dropped entirely. Like, okay. Also, what exactly is the dragon flame? Like, Winx Club stands, please tell me what the dragon flame power is. Like, apparently it's some sort of powerful old magic, but like that's all we really know about it in this show. Like, if you're gonna make it a huge thing and a central plot device that everyone wants, can you at least explain exactly what it is instead of just saying, ooh, Bloom has the dragon flame. Very powerful. Also, the twist about Bloom being born 1,000 years ago and thrown into stasis until like 17 years ago was just so bad. Why would Bloom's mom not just take her to the realm of darkness or whatever with her? Where was she placed that she wasn't discovered for all that time until the Blood Witches got her? How did the Blood Witches even know where to look and how to free her? The whole thing just kind of felt like Dollar Tree Ray from Star Wars, where it's like, oh, your parents are dead nobodies in season 1, but then suddenly switch to, your parents were actually legendary fairies and your mom had the dragon flame power too at the end of season 2. It really does just like remind me with Ray and Star Wars, how in The Last Jedi, it was like, Ray, your parents are nobodies. They were drunkards that sold you for drinking money. And then in the Rise of Skywalker, it was like, Ray, you are the granddaughter of Palpatine. You are heir to like one of the most powerful bloodlines ever. It's like, okay, can we make up our minds, please? Please. Anyway, let's get into what I thought of all of the characters as they were in season 2. Bloom, her usual boring, annoying, arrogant, dumb self. Okay, sweetie, you have the dragon flame, but you don't even know what it is, just like I don't know what it is. So why are you acting like you're all that? Speaking of the dragon flame, I know she has it in the original show, but it just felt like the writers threw it in there because they needed a reason to justify having Bloom as the main character. Because, like, quite a few other characters are much more interesting and deserving of the main character status. So the writers were like, "Oh, she has the dragon flame. Yep, she has this powerful old magic. That's why she's the main character. Yep, 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 yep." It's like, okay, like you can't just make her interesting on her own. Okay. Okay, next is Stella. See, now they saw how much more fitting of main character status Stella was in season 1 and said, we can't have that, so let's make her boring this season. Oh my god, that little jewel in her back that like kept her like from leaving the school. Oh my god. That was just a way to stop her from doing anything interesting this season. Because what did she do besides mope around and look sad? Oh my god, they reduced her to nothing this season. Ugh, justice for Stella. Someone give her back her it girl energy, please. Tara, the gays proudly claim her as part of the club. If you don't, then get the fuck out. Like, I'm sorry, bye. I love Tara. She's a lovable character, once again, and nothing is going to change that for me. I'm sorry. As for Flora, she was alright. Nothing boring, but not too interesting. Just like a cute addition to the group. I hated the forced rivalry between Flora and Tara. It was literally so stupid and had no justification for it whatsoever. The only reason the writers had those two fight for half the season was because they saw all the tweets from like Angry Winx Club stands bashing on Tara for replacing Flora and thought this was going to get everyone excited and feel liberated in their hate. Like, yes, see, Flora hates Tara too. Yeah, okay, okay. Anyway. Musa this season actually became interesting and likable, which was a very much a shock for me. I'm sorry, she ended all of the specialists. Like, she actually proved how fucking useless they are. I just keep coming back to the final episode where all the specialists are battling, like, the evil, mind controlled Blood Witch specialist all day long and into the night, and not one of them can take down one of the evil clones. But then Musa like steps onto the battlefield and takes down like 3 evil specialists in like 3 seconds. Like, please. I'm gonna be honest and say I feel like her character arc this season gave her a lot of depth that she seriously needed. I really liked her draining herself of her magic and trying to just find herself and enjoy life without the misery of mind magic plaguing her all the time. Like, she looked so happy when her magic got taken away, and I'm happy that she finally found something that brings her joy, that being becoming a specialist in the end. Oh, Aisha. Why can't she just be happy? My lord, we finally give the water fairy her own subplot and then just pull the rug out from under her at the last minute. Was it really that necessary to make her boyfriend a blood witch? Like, why couldn't they just be cute and happy together? Like, come on now. I'm at least happy she got more to do this season and they finally gave her an active role in the show instead of just being a sidekick to Bloom 24/7. So that's good at least. Oh, Sky. Oh my god. He went from boring to just straight up unlikable. He was just so rude and arrogant this season. I just wanted to punch him multiple times per episode. Like, okay, the guy that raised you glorified your shitty dad. So what? Get over it and move on. And okay, your birth dad is shitty. So what? Get over it and move on. You're not the only one, honey. Beatrix actually became one of the most interesting characters this season. I'm sorry, I liked following her along this season and watching her do whatever it took to get her powers back and keep people she cared about as safe as can be. I think part of the charm that came from her this season is that both the writers and the actress toned down her edginess, and so now she doesn't feel as annoyingly tryhard. I would have gladly watched a season 3 just to follow her, to be honest. And it's complete bullshit that both Sky and Flora survived, but Bee died, especially when her injury looked much more survivable than theirs. Like, come on. But yeah, Beatrix was actually one of the most interesting characters this season. Like, she was just fun to follow. I'm sorry, she really was. Oh, River did nothing this season. It's like the writers had a few ideas of what to do with River, but ultimately got bored and dropped all of them and then forgot they wrote them into the script. Like, the throuple ended without much excitement. The plotline about him secretly going against Rosalind didn't amount to much. Him and Flora flirted a ton, but never got together, and he played a side role in Muse's character journey. There was like a lot of things introduced, but like nothing resolved. Like he didn't really have like a set role this season. He just like did a bunch of things and didn't finish completing any of them, you know? Was he as annoying as last season? No, but I still can't stand him, so bye. With Rosalind, I feel like they did a decent job writing a character that does toe the line between righteous and evil. Was she fighting an overall good fight? Yes. Was she a mean, unlikable bitch from the start to the end? Also, yes. Having said that, I didn't find her all that interesting outside of her personality. Her story and actions weren't all that exciting, which is a shame since she is in a position of power to be one of the most captivating characters of the show. I did like her actress though, especially in that graveyard scene with Bloom. Like, yeah, her actress is really good in my opinion. I really, really liked her. Oh, Sebastian. Okay, who the hell are you? I'm going to be honest, this guy should not have been the big villain. Like, at all. He wasn't in season 1. He didn't do anything worth paying attention to in like the first 3 episodes. But then he suddenly becomes the main villain and we're supposed to be gagged. Like, okay. Like, when it's revealed that he's evil and he's like the leader of the Blood Witches, the show wants us to be like, oh my god, no, really? I didn't see that coming. But it's like, okay, who are you? I don't really care or know even who you are. Like, okay. And even after he ascends to main villain status, he's still boring as hell and just feels thrown in for the sake of things. He felt very shallow in everything from his personality, motivations, actions, etc. And I just can't bring myself to care about anything to do with him. Also, how the fuck does he seem to know Bloom's ancestry history, but no one else does? Were you alive 1,000 years ago, also, or something? Because, like, that doesn't make any sense. How do you know all of this, but nobody else does? Everyone else, not really important enough to discuss. Oops. Anyway. Alrighty. We've talked about season 1. We've talked about season 2. Let's talk about the series as a whole. What did I think about it, just like in general, from start to finish? It's a fucking mess. Is it good? No. At its best moments, Fate is mediocre, and at its worst moments, Fate is downright unwatchable. Is it a decent adaptation or a new take on Winx Club? I don't know. I haven't watched that show, so I can't speak on that. But is it just like a good show in its own right? No, it's not. Season 2 was relatively interesting. Season 2 was watchable. It was relatively interesting and did hold my attention for like quite a few parts. But like season 1 was just downright horrible. Like I don't even know how season 1 got like greenlit, to be quite honest. Like I don't even know. Having said all of that, I do think the show gets better as time goes on. Season 2 was leagues better than season 1 could ever dream of, with interesting character journeys and a more entertaining plot. I feel like a third season would have allowed the show to reach its full potential since all the characters are in drastically different places now than when they started the show. And the ending of season 2 presents a common goal that would have forced the characters to finally work together for once instead of all doing separate things. Now, I heard that the show was canceled by the creator, not Netflix. I could be wrong about that. Maybe Netflix was the one that canceled the show, but now I heard that it was the creator that canceled the show. So, if that's true, I'm just curious as to why. Like, yeah, you want to reboot Wings Club for the 400th time. We got that. But why did you allow the writers to leave season 2 on a cliffhanger that leads into a season 3 if you were just going to cancel it? That's just a really stupid decision in my opinion. But I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Netflix was the one that canceled the show. I don't know. But it's really weird because the later half of season 2 was all right, truly. And season 3 really had a lot of potential to be the best season yet. Though, granted, the bar for that is on the floor. I think most of the cast is quite talented, really. Yes, there were plenty of cringe moments, especially in season 1, but honestly, that's more of the writers and the director's faults. In my opinion, the actors really just did the best they could with the material that they had to work with. I'd say my favorite performances were from the actors that played Rosalind, Tara, and even Bloom, because I felt that they perfectly captured the vibe for how each character was written to be in the show. Rosalind was written to be a mean, blunt bitch that everyone just hates, but she doesn't give a damn about what anyone thinks. Tara was written to be an awkward plant nerd trying desperately to make friends and find self love. And Bloom was written to be an annoying hothead that wants to act all shy and outcasty, but also thinks the world revolves around her 24/7. And I think that those three actors really captured those personalities perfectly, in my opinion. So, regardless of the writing, I really do think that most of the cast is really talented, and I hope that they all do great things in the future. I really, really do. Okay, I just have to say this again. I have to say this again. I have to say this again. The specialists are fucking useless. Wink stands, please tell me if they do anything of importance in the original show, because I did not see them do anything here. How are you going to tell me that these are warriors, specially trained against all magical and evil beings in the world, but die on the spot to every burned one you come across, and get yourselves easily mind controlled by blood witches? It doesn't make any sense. How are you constantly being defeated 24/7, but you're supposed to be like specially trained to fight these evil forces? Make it make sense. The fairies are also trained to be like combative, also, right? If the fairies can also fight in combat and they have magic powers, why the hell would you even bother trying to train non magical people with like swords and shit? Just have the fairies do the work officially, since they already do everything to protect the school and save the world, since the specialists can't do a damn thing. Like, make it make sense. Okay, and now let's move on to character thoughts overall. Just what I thought of anybody and everybody throughout their entire run of the show, both season 1 and season 2. And obviously, we have to start with Bloom. The show tried so hard to give her main character energy, but in the end, she just doesn't have the it girl factor. She's so annoying and self centered, and 99% of the time in season 1, I just wanted to shake her and say, like, shut up. And in season 2, she's a little more bearable, but she's still not likable and does not radiate main girl energy like the show so desperately wants her to. I mean, my God, every 5 seconds we have someone saying she's different or special or unique. First, she's a changeling, then she's more powerful than everyone at the school, Then she's the first fairy to get wings in over 1,000 years. Then she has the dragon flame power that they never really explain. Then she was born over 1,000 years ago and was kept in stasis until a decade ago. We get it! You want her to be special. You can tell me this girl is the chosen one all day long, but if she doesn't have the it factor, I just don't believe you. Like other Chosen One characters like Anakin Skywalker from Star Wars or Alina Starkov from the Grisha trilogy are far more powerful than everyone else around them, just like Bloom is, but what makes them true main characters is that it factor. It's the attitude, it's the vibe. Even a chosen one with no special powers like Katniss Everdeen from Hunger Games has that it factor because it isn't about the powers you're born with or, the special circumstances that you have. It's your actions and your attitude as a character that really make you the main hero, and Bloom just doesn't have those vibes going for her. Having said that, you might think that that's the fault of the actress, but I personally don't think that. On the contrary, I think the actress did a great job and played Bloom perfectly for how she was written in this show. She really was, at the end of the day, just written as boring and occasionally arrogant with nothing really going for her, despite having the world's power at her fingertips. Next, Aisha. I really liked Aisha, but I hated the way the show treated her. In season 1, all the other girls get their own plot lines, while Aisha is just relegated to being Bloom's friend, and everyone tries to villainize her every 2 seconds, either over the smallest things or for being the only rational one in the group. And then in the second season, she thankfully got her own storyline with her boyfriend, and they were all cute, and I really liked them together. But then they made him evil. Like, what was the point of that? He didn't even do anything as a villain, so why did we have to ruin Aisha's first love? But while I do have issues with how the show itself treated her, on her own, I really did like her. I liked her personality, I liked her vibes. You know, she was just cool. She was a smart, fun person. I really just did like Aisha. So, yeah, she is one of my favorites. She's probably like my second favorite Winx right after Tara. Speaking of Tara, we love nerdy lesbians around here. I don't care what anyone says. Tara is and always will be one of my favorite characters in the show because she just has good vibes all around. She's smart, she's kind, she doesn't take people's shit. I love her little story times and lore rants, and everyone else is rude as hell for telling her to shut up all the time because I'm like, no, let the girl speak. I'm listening and interested in what she has to say. Let her go on her little tangents. She does have a jealousy problem with Flora in season 2, but honestly, that felt forced because, once again, it felt like the writers just pitted them against each other to try to appease the angry stans that hated Tara for replacing Flora in the group in the first season. You know? Moving right along to Stella, I have to say this right here, right now. Whoever was the stylist for the show either hated Stella or hated her actress. I want to think her ugly suburban mom outfits are the work of her mother being very controlling, but the show never says or even implies that, so I just have to believe the costume designer hated her. Like, oh my god, she literally got done the worst in the wardrobe department. Like, all of her outfits are ugly. I'm sorry, she looks like a suburban white mom Karen in her 40s. Like, be serious. Now, having said that, I don't care if Bloom has the dragon flame, Stella should have been the main character. Season 1, she outshines everyone in the group easily. A princess destined to rule the kingdom one day, but is having to relearn basic magic after a freak accident left her in shambles, while having to keep up appearances that everything is fine or face the wrath of her overbearing, controlling mother, versus some hot headed orphan, a waterbender, a tree hugger, and some emo girl. Wow! I wonder who the most interesting one here is. Wow, I'm scratching my head trying to figure out who that is. The writers must have realized how much they made Stella vastly more interesting than everyone else because they yanked her chain in season 2 and made her the least interesting of them all. Where is she in the plot? Oh, she's actually magically restricted to stay at the school and can't participate in any of the adventures. Cool. Her relationship with her mother tells us her mother is evil like a billion times and doesn't elaborate further. Cool. What about her magical rehabilitation? Dropped completely from the show. Cool. Justice for Lightbringer here. Moving right along to Musa. I honestly went from low key hating her in season 1 to finding her really interesting in season 2. Her and Beatrix had the best character glow ups in the show, in my opinion. She started out so boring and whiny with nothing going for her besides complaining about hearing everyone's emotions 24/7. Like, we get it, it's hard being an emotion fairy. Do you talk about anything else? But I actually really loved following her in season 2 as she willingly drained her magic and then tried to find purpose and discover what she actually likes to do. Her becoming a specialist and officially training as one of them, even though she's already more useful than all of them, was quite an interesting development, and I love that she stayed with them even after getting her magic back. I would have liked to have seen her in season 3 use both her specialist combat training and her fairy magic in combination with each other during missions, because I think it would be interesting seeing both of Althea's teachings truly blended together in unison. Next up, Flora. Why are you here? We already have a plant fairy. If they were going to add back one of the original Winx that got cut in season 1, why didn't they add that Techno Girl so we could get at least a new set of powers? Anyway, she was decent. I don't know, she felt like Zoe from Miraculous. A nice person, but a shallow character, so I can't really think of anything to say other than she was nice and I liked her. That's it. And now for Sky. Give me a break. He's so dry and flavorless. There is just nothing interesting about him despite the show's best efforts to make him interesting. I don't care about his daddy issues, and I already don't like Bloom, so I don't care about their relationship. So what am I supposed to do with him? I will say a large part of this is likely because I did not enjoy the actor's performance in the slightest. He just felt very one note and didn't really seem to have much chemistry with anyone that he had scenes with. Especially with Bloom in season 2, while I was watching, something felt off between them because the show kept making them closer, but it didn't feel like they were getting any closer together. You know what I mean? Then I realized it was really Sky's actor causing the disconnect because I felt like he was really giving Bloom's actress nothing to work with in their scenes together. And then, naturally, you react to that as an actor even if you don't realize it. So her energy got brought down also in certain scenes. And it was just weird. I wonder if he had been played by someone else, if I would have liked Sky more, but I don't think I would have liked him all that much differently, to be honest, because at the end of the day, he really is just like kind of boring and kind of mid as as a character. So in that regard, he is perfect for Bloom. Next up, Miss Beatrix. Bee went from one of my most despised characters in season 1 to one of my favorites in season 2. In season 1, I found her very annoying and trying way too hard to be edgy and a baddie, that I just ended up either laughing at her or rolling my eyes almost every time she appeared on screen. Season 2, however, both the writers and the actors seemed to really dial that back, and it worked wonders because she became really interesting. I found her entertaining and interesting, and I always looked forward to what she was going to do next in order to survive and get what she wants. In the end, she'll always do what serves her best interest the best, regardless of who she backstabs and betrays. And to me, that's just a really fun and exciting character to follow. Also, she deserved better. The writers really hated her in season 2 and loved to make her suffer at every turn. Like, how can Sky literally die and be revived? And how can Flora survive being mauled by like 100 of those bloodsucker slugs? But Beatrice somehow didn't survive a little smack to the head against a pillar. Like, make it make sense. The guy that revived Sky with magic didn't even try to revive her, also. And I hated that. Like, at least make the effort to save the interesting one. Moving right along to Professor Dowling, Headmistress Dowling. I would have liked to see more of her. I feel like they killed her too soon, and that there was still so much potential left with her and Bloom's mentor student relationship. She was very naive and thinking keeping secrets from the hot headed teenager that can barely control her magic was a good idea, but we all have our flaws. I wonder what season 2 would have looked like if she had been around. Yeah, that would have been interesting. And since we talked about Dowling, we now have to talk about Rosalind. Same with Dowling, I would have liked to see more of her. I still think she should have been the final boss, because that's what the entirety of season 1 and half of season 2 was framing her as. I absolutely hated her, but I found her intriguing because she knows she's not a good person and owns it, but she's also fighting the good fight ultimately. So it creates that kind of like interesting, like morally gray character. So yeah, I found her interesting. Oh, and then there's the real main villain of the show, Sebastian. I said what I wanted to about him in my thoughts on season 2. He's boring, shallow, and shouldn't have been the final boss. Bye. Now for Riven. Oh my god. Fuck out of here, you homophobic stoner loser. Season 1 Riven is just every bad boy caricature from Wattpad stories. Season 2, they tried to give him more depth and make him somewhat likable, but abandoned that idea every 2 seconds and never actually do anything with or for him. Also, this bitch was just trying to tell Musa not to become a specialist because he was mad that Girly could keep up with him decently well in a fight despite never being trained as a fighter versus his years of training. Like, be serious. You're just mad at her being better than you. Be serious. Oh, now we move on to Dane. Boring and arrogant. Fuck him for making Tara feel like shit and trying to gaslight her into thinking it's her fault they aren't friends anymore. He's such a loser for chasing after Riven after that boy called him everything except the F slur. Like, grow a pair, my god. This bitch thinks he's more than what he is, but honestly, all the specialists do, so I can't really hold that point against him alone. And now we finally start moving on to characters that I have not talked about a little bit more in depth until now. Sam, aka Musa's boyfriend and Tara's brother. Written to be the cute boyfriend and nothing more. Could have probably done something useful in the final battle in season 2, but we'll never know since him and Tara's dad were written off midway through the season. Yeah, I thought that they were going to come back in the final episode, but like they never did. So like, okay, I guess they're just gone from the show now. Moving along, Gray, aka Aisha's boyfriend. I already said everything I wanted to about him. He shouldn't have been evil. He didn't even do anything as a villain. They should have just kept him as another cute boyfriend because we already have like a billion of cute boyfriends. So it's like, what's one more? You know? Like, what's one more? You know? Next, Professor Ben, aka Tara's dad and Sam's dad. I feel like he was underutilized, to be honest. He was part of both Dowling's and Rosalind's inner circle, but he really never got as much spotlight as either of Sky's dads. He had his faults, but I liked him in general, and I just wish that they did more with him given his high position in the school and his close relation to both Dowling and Rosalind. Like, I think that they should have done more with him. And now we move on to both of Sky's dads, starting off with Silva, his adoptive dad. I'll give props to the actor because he really was trying to make this guy as interesting as possible. His whole character really rests on Sky's shoulders, and as we already discussed, I didn't like Sky's actor's performance, so I just didn't really care about Silva since I don't really give a damn about Sky. If Sky had been played by a better actor, I probably would have been more invested in Silva, because the actor really was good, and he just didn't have anything to work with really in either writing or chemistry. So, yeah, justice for him too. Now, Andreas, aka Sky's birth dad. Nothing much to say. Fuck this guy. He's a loser. Next. Moving along to Queen Luna, aka Stella's mom. In a different show, she'd be one of the main characters, in my opinion. If Stella had been the main character, I feel like we could have gotten a very interesting and complex mother daughter relationship that explores balancing raising a future queen while also raising a daughter and what that does to both of them. But, alas, that can't happen because the world revolves around Bloom. So she's written as the mean queen mom, nothing more, but she fills that role completely. So, and finally, Vanessa and Mike, aka Bloom's parents. Very conflicting writing, like I said, but I just want to hammer that point home. The writing with Bloom's parents is so conflicting. One moment they're shown to be abusive, and the next they're shown to be nothing but loving. You can't keep constantly switching the narrative between Bloom having a bad relationship with them and then having great love for them. Pick one. I get family relationships are complicated, like join the club, but it really just felt like the writers just wrote them for however they wanted in a certain scene and didn't really think about like overall, like come on. But anyway, that's it for me. We've discussed season 1, season 2, and the show as a whole, and we have finally come to the end of this video. If you enjoyed this video, then give it a like and subscribe to my channel so you know when I post next. Tell me your thoughts in the comments. What you thought about Fate, what you thought about my opinions, if I should watch Winx Club, and where to find it, because I honestly don't know where to find it. But with all that being said, I'll talk to you next time. Bye.